All right, welcome to Breaking Biz Dev, the podcast that beats up, breaks down, and redefines business development for the professional services firms of tomorrow. I'm your host, John Tyreman, and today we are joined by Fedor Šimić, the co-founder at Own the Narrative. Check out ownthenarrative.co. And Fedor, welcome to the Breaking Biz Dev podcast.
Thank you, John. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Absolutely, yeah. So you and I connected first when you were running the partnership program at DataBox. And we both have experience running original research programs. And so we geeked out together. And I think we kind of found like a mutual, something that we both are mutually excited about with original research. And so I thought that was pretty cool, a little backstory for our listeners here. Before we really dig into what you think is broken about business development, I'd love to have you give our listeners kind of like a quick overview of Own the Narrative. Who do you help and how do you help them?
So, Own the Narrative helps companies. We work with professional services firms, but we also work with MarTech companies. So, we help our companies win customers by proving they understand their market better than anyone else. And we do that by running research with their ideal buyers. And then we turn those insights into clear patterns and you then use them in sales, marketing, and content. So instead of claiming we understand our customers, we understand our market, we show it with evidence. And that's what we run for our customers.
Right on. Awesome. Yeah, original research is such a powerful thing. So Fedor, these interviews on Breaking Biz Dev start with kind of one big question that we can, and I'd lead to you to take it however you'd like. But in your mind, what do you believe is broken about the way B2B and professional services firms go about business development today?
So, in my observation, the biggest problem is that business development is done from an assumption perspective. Basically, what I've seen happen to others and to me personally is that people come to me and assume that I have a problem that they're solving, right? And they assume that I will find myself in their version of the problem, right? So it's basically that they're pitch slapping people with an assumption that that I have or you have, we have a problem that they're solving for, and they expect ourselves to find ourselves in their version of the problem. So it does work, but it's not working as good as it could, right? So that's what I think is most broken about outreach today in business development. And
It's just too broad. It's just you're assuming that you understand the buyer, and so you're sending one message out to a broad mass. And so, is that kind of what you're getting at?
yes, and it's all in the form of a pitch. You're always
Yeah.
pitching before you understand, So you pitch first and then you hope that pitch will captivate whoever you're pitching, right? And then they will say, yes, I want a meeting, right? Like, let's do it. So I've, from time to time, well, now less than before because I've only started my own company. So I still need to build it up before I get pitch slammed by more people. I still get the occasional pitch. So I use that to kind of tear it down in a post and then say what I'm doing differently. But before there was much more, right? When I was working at a bigger company. So it's always like that. They talk mostly about themselves, not about you, right? And they come from the basis that they're the most amazing person in the whole world. And then you should buy from them because they're just amazing and they will solve all your problems in one go, right? And it's not as true as it sounds. I'm sure you've experienced
Oh my
similar
gosh,
type of
my
outreach.
inbox is flooded. I get pitch slapped all the time from people thinking that I'm in a role that I haven't been in like 6 years at an organization that I haven't been at in 6 years, and how they still like haven't like at least cross referenced my LinkedIn profile is just beyond me. Um, You brought up something, Fedor, that is kind of like a core principle on this podcast, and that's like the concept of understanding. And Mark and I, my co-host, we talk about that ad nauseum, about like understanding your, like in a sales seat, understanding your prospects and like leading with curiosity, leading with inquiry. And that's what I think kind of drew me to having you on the show, is because that's a core concept in like a sales perspective. What you're doing is applying that, basically that same mindset to marketing. So like what is the, how, if people don't want to operate from a point of assumption, how do they move to operating from an understanding of their target audience?
Let me try to explain this as easily as I could. So Ima- imagine you run a bakery, and you
Okay.
want more customers, right? So instead of going out and pitching everyone in your neighborhood what's already on the menu, you first talk to the people in your neighborhood, right? You ask what bread they usually buy, what they like about it, and what they wish maybe was better, right? Some of the people you talk with, they're going to say their favorite bread is what's already on the menu. So you tell them that, right? So you tell them. Others might mention something else is missing, so you consider maybe adding it. But while you're doing all of this, people get familiar with your bakery, right? Some actually become customers, but most importantly, you learn what the market wants before you go out and guess. And that's essentially what we do for our clients, So that's how we try to understand first before we actually go out and offer something. Um, and we do that by running a survey, And what you mentioned before you asked this question is you said like your inbox is flooded, and so many people tell me that, right? So just a couple of days ago, I actually had someone, since I'm running my own research as well, right? I'm running what I preach.
Yeah, totally. Me too.
Someone told me, like, when I reached out, like, hey, I'm running this survey, would you like to contribute? Obviously it's much longer than that and more carefully crafted, but they initially said like, no thank you, and I was like, okay, thumbs up. But 20 seconds later they actually said like, no, wait, my inbox is completely flooded, yes, I would love to contribute. I sent them the link and they filled out the survey in like 2 minutes. So I was like, okay, so
Nice.
this is probably what a lot of other people are experiencing right now, is just that with AI and with all these automation tools out there, everyone's inbox seems to be flooded. So genuine type of outreach that's not pitch slapping, not sales outreach, is
Yep.
also, the results are getting hindered just because we start to kind of like pre-reject even like all type of outreach. As soon as you see someone connecting with you, assume like, this guy's going to offer me something I really don't want right now. So
Mhm.
sorry for going a bit long-winded on that, but I wanted to make the point.
No, and I love the way that you're approaching this from kind of like comparable to outreach, right? This is a way for you to engage with potential buyers, not in like a sales way of trying to acquire a customer, but genuinely like try to learn from them and understand what their pain points are and how you can adapt and evolve to best fit their needs. What I think kind of completes the circle is really taking those insights and publishing them as marketing content. Can you talk a little bit about how you've seen that play out and how that feeds into kind of a broader ecosystem?
Yeah, it all comes together, So everyone you talk to, and if they say yes to contributing to the survey, they're actually contributing to the final article. So they're helping you build your marketing up. They're helping you build the content, and you also feature them in it. So when you publish
Yes.
this report that's valuable to both you and them, and we all learn from it, you're actually using your platform to feature them and quote them in the final article. So, and give them a link to their website. So it's kind of a different approach to marketing. It's not, hey, I'm hoping to create something that sticks and just throwing things at people, hoping something lands with them and then they engage with it. You're actually creating all the content with them, and they're helping you build the content, and you're promoting them through the content in a way. So it's just like building a relationship. And what I really like about the whole approach is that it's one system and you're running one play and it's doing everything. It's winning you customers, it's getting you data, and it's building content that's AI proof. So hope that answers your question.
Yes. No, it does. And why this is relevant to professional services firms is if you talk to, and I've talked across different industries, professional services firms in engineering, accounting, AEC, all the different industry verticals, and there's this commonality of like they often go after very, very small slices of the market. And when you go and you try to do market research for them on their target buyers, there's not a whole lot of information out there. And so when you co-create research with your ideal prospects, you're creating value to them in aggregate, right? They're able to take insights away from that research, assuming that it's structured properly and that you're deriving good insights. That can be a big value add to specific slivers of the market.
Exactly. Exactly. And what it's also important is that that market is at least sophisticated enough to appreciate those types of insights and that type of data. Some of them are just not up to that level where they can comprehend the data. So it's kind of like what I've been a
Well,
bit struggling with one of my clients, because they work with pet brands. So we're running research on how pet brands plan and create content. So not a lot of people from that space actually get it, because let's say like you're a smaller pet shop owner, like how you don't really understand much about content. One, then this research is just a cherry on top to kind of like cement the non-understanding you possess. So it's tough. So it can work in some areas quite well, but in others, the success might be limited. But then maybe
and
there's
that's
just
why,
more reason to help them, right? Because no one else will. Sorry.
yes. Well, and no, 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 you make a very good point. And that's why I think specifically to professional services, a lot of times these firms are organized in a way where they're serving a specific industry vertical. And in those cases, if you're serving, let's say, like a business owner of, like I'll give you an example. So I've got a financial advisor as a client, and he serves transportation companies, limo companies, bus companies, things like that. And so we're doing quarterly surveys, and those surveys are providing information to these business owners about trends of like, how should we adjust our fleet mix? And how do we go about hiring for certain roles? So there's no research like that that's out there that's specifically curated for that industry. That collaboration kind of can be a big benefit, especially if a services firm is organized to serve a specific industry.
Exactly. Most of the research done is just too broad, to help everyone. So even if they hit the industry, they're not going to be doing research for companies of a certain size. If you're too small, you're not going to be even considered to be part of the research or to benefit from the data. So it's very hard. So like the more people out there do research, the better it will be for all all types of businesses, hopefully. But I've, besides you, me, and a couple of other companies, I've rarely seen anyone running this type of research out there. So it's still not as prevalent as it could be.
Yeah, it's a play that it takes a lot to do, honestly. Like there's a lot of planning, there's a lot of coordination, there's a lot of outreach to your point and credit, on the front end before anything is visible. So there's a lot of like sunk upfront costs before you can even get an ROI out of it. But that juice is totally worth the squeeze because no one else is doing it.
Nope. And if you do it and you do it well, you're going to build market authority that you won't build as easily as you could with this type of approach. And to your point, I've actually done research. So when we did the co-marketing program, obviously no, because we talked about it. We had a lot of partners raise their hand. They wanted to do co-marketing. They loved the approach. They loved the idea behind it, and they started partnering with us. We designed surveys together. We launched them. We promoted them, but most of them really struggled on getting respondents. And then
Yep.
two, probably the biggest struggle was analyzing the data and coming up with really good insights and then using those insights to create content. Because, okay, I take the blame a bit on behalf of our team. We assumed, they could do all of this just because we magically did it. They could
Yeah.
also do it, but figured out by going back to all those partners and giving them a short list of questions, free questions, I figured out that it just took too much time from one person, too much effort, and they just didn't possess the entire skill set that is required to do all of it. So you need to design a very good survey, right? You need to do outreach. Then you need to analyze the data. Then you need to write the content. So it's just too much work for one person. Even I don't do it all alone, right? I have a partner doing it with me. So I'm assuming that's why more people are not doing it, because it's, as you said, a huge investment up front and it's a new approach. So they can't really justify the investment
Well, the
on a
skills aren't
potential.
there, right? And so that's an area, that's a skills gap in most organizations. And so, and it I've written research reports, and it's a pain in the ass to learn how to do, to be honest with you. But like, once you learn how to do it, there's a certain rhythm and flow that kind of comes with that. In my experience, I've found that just as like engaging with the audience is great for like your understanding and how you develop products, like engaging with the same audience on the insights and getting feedback on the insights is a fantastic way to like take that from like a first draft to like a final product, because you're getting feedback of like, hey, wait, what a second, what if we broke the data down like this? And you're like, oh, I didn't think about that, let me go back to the data set, let me do like a segment analysis. And so like like that feedback solicits like new perspectives and ways of thinking about things. And anyways, I know we're geeking out about this kind of stuff, but again, it's like a great way to engage with your audience.
Exactly. What I also realized is that there's this other problem that we don't see as easily as we could, and that's the required shift in your thinking, in your approach, that is required to even adopt uh, a method like this, right? Because let's face it, right? Directly pitching people and them saying yes or no is a faster path to yes or no, right? And then if people say yes, okay, they go jump on a call, they immediately become a customer, right? It's like a faster path to revenue, right? Meanwhile, this approach
Right.
is a much longer play. First, they fill out a survey. Okay, then you go in, analyze what they said, see if they actually make a good fit for what you do and if you can help them. So it takes more steps to, let's say, get the same type of result, right? Like MRR or whatever, cash in the bank.
Hmm.
But it's the problem in how they think. They think only in terms of money now, but not about money in the future. This is a longer play, but you're
Right.
getting value and money as you do it. But when you do it long enough, it's going to give you more money at the end if we're looking only at the money, right? But you're also going to be helping more people, and more people will come to you because they will come to you because of the insights that you have that no one else has, because no one else wants to do this type of research for the market, right? So that's also another
Yeah, because of the insights and because of the inquiry that you're embodying in reaching out in the first place. Well, Fedor, thank you so much for taking the time to share your insights on the Breaking Biz Dev podcast. For folks that are listening and want to learn more about Fedor and what and his services, check out ownthenarrative.co. The link will be in the show notes. Connect with Fedor on LinkedIn. And Fedor, thank you so much for being on the Breaking Biz Dev podcast.
it's a pleasure. I'll come again If you invite me.
That sounds good.